Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me here. Thanks for coming today. It's really early morning. I had to get out of bed a half an hour ago to run here. It's a little bit late. Didn't even have coffee, so, problematic. 2 years ago, 2014, like she said, I was in Amsterdam living in an apartment. I had my own YouTube business, was making like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month so I could pay my rent. I just graduated from university with a master's degree, and all my friends had 9-to-5 jobs, and we didn't hang out anymore because everybody was working in the day. So I was working mostly from home, and you go to the coffee machine, you have some coffee, and then you go back to the living room on your laptop, and you're really bored. I was like, okay, maybe I'll just sell everything and leave, like many of us have done. So then I started traveling, and I've been traveling for 2 years. I've been starting all these kind of startups, right? Some worked out really well, some failed really badly. In general, it's been really fun. But I've been doing this remotely, and that's, I guess, the cool thing about it. So I want to know about the audience now. How many of you are digital nomads right now? If you can put your hands up. So I think that's a minority, right? And how many of you are wannabe digital nomads? I'm both, And how many of you don't want to be nomads? Well, I don't see anything. Yeah. So I think in the future, a lot of people will be nomads, and I have some data to show about that. So this is my presentation, the future of digital nomads. I want to talk about the next 20 years. I'm 29 now, so in the next 20 years, I'll be 50. So it's a little grim, but does this work? Oh, this one. Sorry, wrong button. This is me. I used to have hair, but my friend shaved it last night, or last week, when I was drunk. So 2035, shit happens. So this is freelancers. So we're here now, 2015. This is America, it's kind of representative of the general population. About 30% is freelancer. But the prediction is it's going to reach 50 and even more in 2035. So most of us will be, more than half will be freelancers, which is crazy to think about. It has to do with job security as well. A lot of people don't have jobs anymore. And people don't, it's really hard to get hired these days as a graduate. So this is the internet speed. Right now, it's about 100 megabits. It varies around the world, but it's going to be 100 gigabits. And gigabit means about 20 gigabytes a second. So it means I can download all my backups, all my photos that I ever made in about a minute. So it's really fast. And I can do that on mobile, and that's the big thing, 6G, 6th generation telephony, which means I have a smartphone where anywhere in the world I'll have super fast internet, 10 to 100 gigabits a second. Even in Bali, I go to Bali a lot. Bali internet is a joke. Even in Bali, we will have good internet, finally. So this is another thing. You're like, why is he talking about marriages? Well, current marital status in America and the West is decreasing rapidly. And in 2035, less than half of the people around us will be married. And that's crazy to think about, because it used to be the traditional thing, right? Getting married, getting a house, getting children. And there's a lot of overlap with digital nomads here. When the previous speaker spoke about it, we're trying to find a different kind of life, and this whole generation is kind of doing that. And it means also we're marrying less, we have more relationships, that kind of stuff. And why is this important? Because a decline in marriage mechanically lowers home ownership, because they go together. You marry, you get a house, right? You buy a mortgage, you buy a house, you get a mortgage, and you're stuck to that like 30 to 40 years. So this is actually happening here. Home ownership is decreasing in America really fast, and the only people that have homes are like rich people, or they are like the old people, right? Like my parents have a house, I don't have a house. Most of my friends don't have a house anymore. They can't afford it, and they don't want to as well. And that's the thing, they don't want to. They want more flexibility. This is another cool chart. This is the Berlin-London price of a flight ticket. So it's about $75 now if you get a good ticket. It's going to drop to $20. And you're like, okay, what does that matter? Not much. But Shanghai, it's $600 in mid-season. Will be $150, and sometimes $100 if you get Ryanair EasyJet, because it's going to fly from Europe to Shanghai. Which means we can fly for super cheap everywhere. And if you make like $3,000, $2,000 a month, you can fly a lot for that money. And you can, go to Shanghai for the afternoon, go to Tokyo, then go back to London, and go to New York. And you'll be all over the world the whole month in the future. That's what I think. You'll have new airplanes. This looks really stupid airplane, because I don't know why they made it green, as if it crashed in the jungle. But it's a modern airplane, and it can go much faster. It goes faster than sound. So we'll go fly to London in half an hour instead of 2 hours now. And what about Shanghai? 4 hours. So can you imagine you wake up and you're like, you get a message on like WhatsApp, where's my friend? Oh, he's in Shanghai. Okay, I'll just go to the airport, fly there, and 4 hours later you're having coffee with him at the airport. And that's really weird for me to even imagine, but that's kind of going to be the future, I think. So I just show all this data. We have fast, cheap internet, fast, cheap air travel, so many freelancers. Everybody's almost a freelancer. Nobody's marrying, and everybody's dating everything. Not everything, maybe everything. There's no ownership, so I only have a MacBook in my back, like us nomads, right? We move around the world. We don't own anything. Most of what we do is rent, Airbnb or hotels. We buy food, that stuff. We don't cook it. So what does that mean? Well, it means that, first of all, we're going to work from home a lot, like I did. Then we're going to be in the coffee shop, and we'll be like, my arm hurts. And then we get the idea, hey, I want to be a nomad. I want to go travel, You just start slowly, maybe visit your family in a different state or different country. And then you go to Bali, to Ubud. You have your little cappuccino with your laptop in the rice field, nice view. And you're like, this is pretty cool, right? I can do this, And a lot of people are going to have this process that we had, or that I had, sitting at home, being bored, and then leaving. And I think in the future, we know there's going to be 9 billion people, and 6 billion of those will be working people. It's like the labor force. 3 billion will be children or whatever. I'm not for child labor, of course. So 50% of those will be freelancers. That's 3 billion people. And then 1 in 3, and that's, I think, modest, but maybe it's a little optimistic. 1 in 3 is going to be like a remote worker or digital nomads. And if you can calculate fast, that's 1 billion digital nomads. And you're like, oh, that's bullshit. But it's not, because it's not going to be digital nomads like we think is like us now. It's going to be from a lot of different countries in the world. A lot of emerging markets. Think about India, think about Southeast Asia. We are usually the ones visiting them now. What about when they visit us? What about when there's more places to travel for them as well, when their income goes up? And digital nomads have an effect on local income. They spend money, and the wealth goes up. And there's gentrification, but that's what happens. So there will be more nomads from everywhere. There's a lot of people. So what about cities? If all these people are moving, they don't have houses, where are they going to go? Well, they're going to go to big cities, they're going to go to small cities. But the most interesting thing is that London, for example, has more to do, is more related to me to, for example, Tokyo and New York than to Birmingham. So the big cities in our countries are more related to big other cities than to cities in their own country, if you know what I mean. So small towns, I don't see, this is, I think Birmingham or something in London, they're not related at all. So cities are going to claim more power from the governments, and they're going to ask for maybe city tax and that kind of stuff, and they're going to be more powerful to attract these remote workers. Because you can do this as like Germany or Netherlands to try and attract digital nomads to your country, but why not just Berlin and Amsterdam or London, right? They are the ones that want to really get those people. And I don't really want to go to a small town in Germany right now, maybe in the future, but right now I want to go to Berlin, I want to go to London, I want to Tokyo, Shanghai. So they're going to claim a lot of power and tax from the government, and maybe we can, fly into Berlin, pay a nomad tax there, arrive, and that's it, right? Cities are going to compete for us tech workers, I guess. So we're going to have more clean cities, more green. Taipei. This is China, Tianfu, Chengdu, and this is really interesting because this is a city being newly designed by architects, and it's going to be finished around 2030 in 20 years. And what this city does, it has no cars. It has only public transport. And every house is connected. It has super fast fiber internet. And it's made for us kind of freelance tech workers. So we can, it's a free economic zone. We can go live here in the future and pay tax there. And it's a great place to be. And, most places in China are pretty smoggy. This place has clean air because there's no cars, no factories. It looks pretty good to me. You can walk around, have your dog, walk your dog and shit. I know. Sorry. Okay, we're also going to have more friends. We're going to have, now most of my friends half of my friends are Dutch, because I'm Dutch myself. A lot of them are international, but most people, they still only have local friends, I guess. So it's starting to change then, and we're going to have a lot of different friends from all over the world, and we're going to be together communicating on Telegram, WhatsApp, Twitter, that kind of stuff. And we're going to go on Tinder, and we're going to, have sex, and then we're going to have babies. And it's going to be a lot of mixed babies. And we're finally getting close to the future race, which is, it looks like this. I Googled it. Google says the truth. So this is like Asian, African, white, mixed all together. And this is how the future people look. And we can be part of it. We can make that happen. And what more beautiful than to have one beautiful race with no racism, because you can't have racism because everyone is the same race. So let's get there really fast. What if we have these children? We're gonna have to like teach them, right? We're gonna have to put them to school. But then the schools, we're traveling all the time. So how can we get them to schools? Well, homeschooling is really rising fast, and these children are learning at home. What about universities? These are really good universities. And you're like, I have to go there. I have to go to Delft. I have to go to Massachusetts or Harvard. I can't be a nomad anymore. Or our children can't be nomads anymore. But what is this? edX. It's online education with all the courses from these big universities. And it's already running. It's already successful. You can have all these courses, and I think it's almost free now. And you can get the stuff. There's local work group sessions where your children or us, if you're studying, we can go to local neighborhoods and have local work groups about edX there with teachers. So you have a little bit physical still, and you have a lot of virtual education as well. And so we can keep traveling with a family, because I always get the question, what about families and nomads? What about that? Well, this is it pretty much. So I made a site called Nomad List. Some of you may know it. It's built for this future where people need to know which cities, thank you, which cities to go to. So this is how it looks. There's a lot of filters. You can select, like, I want to go snowboarding, and it should be not hot, of course, snow. And it should be pretty cheap, and then it will find you cities to go to. This is how it looks. I love cities, Bangkok, Morocco. So I built Nomad List, and why is it interesting? Because I built it as like a software for the future, like for the remote generation that we're going to be, these 1 billion nomads. And I know a lot of you are like lifestyle bloggers, or we do like ebook kind of stuff or internet marketing stuff, which is really awesome. But I think there's way bigger opportunity, which is 1 billion nomads. It's a huge market. And I'm not even talking about money. I'm talking about you can build like so much apps for that, or software, or companies or services. Think about housing. Where are these nomads going to stay? Airbnb is okay, but can we improve it? How about banking? And how about all this stuff? And you guys I guess all of us are makers now. You can make that software for all these people, or make these services and companies. And meanwhile, you can make money with it as well. And I think that's what I kind of want to say. You can do that, and you need to do that, because we have this unique position as digital nomads. We're the early generation, early adopters niche. So we know a lot about it, and we know what the problems are for digital nomads now, and what they're going to be a little bit in the future. So we're ahead of people. So you have a very big advantage to build stuff for nomads. Exponential, this is Shanghai, this is the infrastructure you're going to build, and you need to create. So please, create stuff, and send it to me, and then I'm going to tweet it to everybody, and then everybody's going to use it, and we'll be happy in the future as one big remote generation. Thanks so much for listening. Thank you.
This is for you.
Thank you, yeah.